Last week, we went to one of the most iconic Formula One circuits in the UK. This week, the Skip Barber Racing School Championship moves to one of the most picturesque racetracks in the world. It's the Spa of North America. This is round number 8 of your Skip Barber Racing School Championship live from North America. Join us in a few moments' time. Welcome back to RaceSpot TV and iRacing Live as coverage begins of round number 8 live here from Road America. As always, Randy Chineth, Alvin Nieves, and Hugo Louis bringing you all the action today in your Skip Barber Racing School Championship. And Alvin, this is a big track for these little cars. Draft definitely going to be a talking point.
Another big track and even more space to race in here. And just like you just mentioned, Randy, draft is going to be a big factor in here, like we've always seen on all the big tracks that we have been, not only last season, but also this season. So very important for everybody to try to keep the momentum, try to give as much space as possible, but also if you see that you can take that position away, you got to take it. Why? Because you never know what may happen.
That said, at this racetrack, it's not one of those racetracks, Alvin, where you know you're going to have slipstream all the way through. For example, you go to a track like Daytona, and it's very difficult to break the draft. Here, if you have a little bit of speed, you can break the draft relatively easily. All you have to do, try to stay ahead on the braking zone into turn number 5, that downhill braking zone into the left-hander. And then from there, all the way out of the kink, is basically relatively short straightaways, not a lot of slipstream. And if you can break a gap there, that's really your big opportunity to stretch any sort of gap at all over this lap. Because if you're not faster than someone from turn 5 all the way to the kink on the run down into Canada Corner, I don't think there's any way you can get away from anyone here at this place.
Absolutely, Randy. And if we go to what we saw last season, yes, you can be fast as much as you can throughout this technical section, but like you just mentioned, you have to be even better if you want to break that draft. And I think this is not going to be anything different from what we saw last season. Yes, the caliber of drivers that we have in here today, it's pretty much world class, no question about it. So I think that today what we are going to see is definitely a great battle.
That it is, and of course this racetrack famous for really at some point has housed almost every form of American motorsport. IndyCar has been here, there's been sports cars that have raced here, NASCAR has turned laps here as well. Road America, one of the most iconic circuits in really the world, I would argue, and you know, really a track that I love watching races at. It's a great track to form racing on. But right now, qualifying currently underway. We only have about a couple minutes left as we take just a look down right now. Pole is held by Vinicus Roca, and that's a lap time of 2 minutes 30.796. Currently a handful of drivers who have yet to put in a qualifying time. We have Kane Halliburton, Carl Dronke, Nicholas Sheldon, and Edwin Villarno. Of the 17 cars we have today, 17 cars today. I was right the first time, Alvin. Why do I second guess myself?
Oh, you know, Randy, sometimes it happens, you know, but we have to consider, you know, the quality of the field in here today. You know, it's pretty much like not like every other race that we have broadcasted in here. You know, top class. We have Vinicius Rocha. We got the points leader Johnny Guindy, Tuan Tron, Carlos Sainz, Greg Seitz. I think I even see a new name here, Paulo Martins. And I've seen him before, and I know he is a fast driver. So, Randy, I can assure you, what we're going to see in here today, nothing from Fantastic Racing.
That is true, and before qualifying finishes up, let's take a look at your point standings. Johnny Guindy coming in into this race, as I'm getting the hiccups just at the start of the broadcast. Never good at all. Johnny Gundy currently leads the way over Philippe Lebert by just 25 points, actually. Kane Halliburton 14 points out. Alvin, I think these hiccups are going to make this an awkward 10 laps.
Well, Randy, if you want, you can drink just a little bit of water while
I go through a quart of water through all of these broadcasts, so yeah, that's already on the schedule. That's not going to work. Been there, done that.
Well, while you're at it, I think you're going to have to get another quarter of water because I'm pretty sure you are going to need it. But anyways, Are
you challenging me to drink half a gallon of water in a 10-lap race?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Challenge accepted. Let's go.
All right, we'll have to run that race on the Nürburgring. As in the clothing stage of the qualifying, Johnny Gundy comes through. He snags pull away. From Vinicius Roca, lap time of 2:30.298, just a few hundredths quicker than Roca, about a tenth quicker than Roca, and that's going to give him pole position. Alvin, I think if you're Johnny Gundy, you're going to be pretty happy with that.
Absolutely, and if you think that your closest rival, which is Philippe Lebert, he is not racing in this race, and we always talk about going for the highest strength of fuel races, and from what we have seen, Randy, this is the highest strength of fuel races. This Wednesday nights, this is the highest one. So Johnny Gundy, definitely for him, take as much advantage as he can. But on the other hand, you also have to think Philippe Lebert is pretty much here just to try to get some points because he already won season 2, so he already has that 3-day Skip Barber racing class on his pocket. Sorry, one race.
And with that, qualifying is scored complete, and now let's see how many times I hiccup while going down the grid that Hugo will laugh at when we watch this back a little bit later. Johnny Gundy takes the pole with a time of 2:30.298, 1/10 clear of Vinicius Roca in P number 2. Row number 2 is Andrew Picario and Greg Seitz, with Tuan Tron and Kane Halliburton making up row 3. Justin Tipton and Ricardo Margarita, row number 4, with Carlos Sainz and Carlos Ronque making up row 5. Justin Smith and Jeremiah Morton, row 6. Mike McCormick and Edwin Valario, row 7. Christian Capenga and Paulo Martins, row 8, with Nicholas Shelton making up the sole car on row number 8. Is the row number 9, as I'm losing count. Alvin, I didn't hiccup once. I'm proud of myself.
Well, congratulations. This should be a good omen. We definitely hope that you don't hiccup. But going back to those times, very close. I'm pretty sure that once the green flag drops, everybody will try to go for the best position they can. Vinicius Rocha, Johnny Gundy on the front row, teammates, but I'm pretty sure that they are not afraid to race.
Think you're right. Revs start to build, lights go green, and off and away we go here at Road America. The talking point here always is starting grid. If you're at the tail end of the grid, you have to go uphill, but seems like everyone does a good job of dealing with it. Top 3 already fighting in the 3 machine of Vinicius Roca, already looking up the inside of pole sitter Johnny Gundy into corner number 1. I think Gundy made a mistake leaving that inside groove so open, and he's going to be able to defend here from the 3 machine of Roca. So Johnny Gundy holds on to your lead. Top 5 as they run into corner number 3 here. Johnny Gundy from Roca, Picario, Seitz, Tuan Tron. Top 5 run as they qualified. Actually, top 6 run as they qualified. First change of position is Carlos Sainz, who started 9th and have himself up to 7th. Great up a couple spots. We got wreckers in here in the back of the field. This is Edwin Valario, Mike McCormick. Incident down in corner number 3.
Yeah, usually, we see clean starts here, but right here at the back of the field, Mike McCormick, he seems to be a little bit too slow, and Edwin Valeriano just seemed like he was going for a gap that really wasn't there, and race ending for Mike McCormick.
Unfortunate for both of those drivers as race continues underway, and these guys going through what you might almost consider the infield section of this racetrack for now. The vast majority of this lap is spent on the straightaways, but going through this second sector, if you will, down to this tight left-hander at the bottom of the hurry down as you come to the long 180-degree right-hander at the carousel. And Alvin, this part of the racetrack, it's just, we have a couple of these sorts of corners in the United States. Us Americans, we like our left-hand ovals and we like our long 180-degree corners. There's one at Sebring, one here at Road America, there's one at Watkins Glen. Really, through this corner, though, in particular, it seems like the most flexible in terms of the way you can take it. There's a couple of different grooves you can potentially take.
Absolutely, and if you think about it, it's kind of pretty much like...
All of which have different strengths and weaknesses throughout different parts of the corner.
forever, but you know, it goes a little bit up and down, but like you just mentioned, you can take multiple lines. Perhaps as you exit the carousel, you can open just a little bit to get a better exit, and that is one of the many beauties of that corner, and very important to set up because you're going through the kink. And as I said, that Justin Tipton, Justin Smith battling here for what is P number
I believe it's 7.
P10.
Oh, you're right. He's falling down the order a little bit, so I apologize for that. But Justin Tipton seems to be in problems. He's coming down onto pit lane at the end of lap number 1. He's not going to be happy about that, with this only being a 10-lap race. But the fight for the lead is on, though. The 3 of Nikas Roca has been able to know the head of Johnny Gundy. Gundy doesn't lead lap number 1. The 3 of Roca does. And now Roca looks like Gundy's going to be comfortable with P number 2. Precario's not going to fight him for it. They're going to work into corner number 1 now. The top 6, all single file. Roca, Gundy, Precario, Sainz, Tron, and Halliburton. Now under the Briggs and Stratton Bridge, and now into corner number 3. That little right-hand kink under the bridge is technically turn number 2. Then now down this long second straightaway, if you will, and there's a couple corners here. There's a slight right-hand kink right here. That's corner number 4, and then there's a left-hand kink that's not technically a corner, might be called corner 4B, the Moraine sweep. This is one of the best out-braking opportunities out here on the racetrack, but no one's close enough to really make anything of it yet. Hard on the brakes right here, downhill, down a couple gears, tight 90-degree left-hander, and then an awkward braking situation here, Alvin, as you come up this hill, brake under the Corvette bridge. I think this corner is one of the most awkward in motorsports, trying to pick the right line through it. The apex is blind, and really the car behaves differently through every phase of the corner because you're going uphill on the brakes, and then you crest the hill and you turn in, and then you're on perfect flat ground as you have to hit the throttle.
Not only is it blind, but if you consider you are under heavy braking and you hit that crest.
Oh, sorry, slight tap from the leaders. The 1 and the 3. Gundy slightly gets into the back end of Roca in the 90-degree left-hander. We're going to stay good. No big incident there, but Alvin, continue on.
Yeah, not only you are braking, but you consider as you crest, you lose that little bit of weight in the front, so you also tend to lock the tires, and then as you go up, you also, the rear loses weight, and you can light the car. So like you just mentioned, it's a really awkward corner, but once you get it down, those that get it down perfectly every single lap, it's so rewarding, Randy.
So as we're used to seeing in this Skip Barber Championship, we're getting 2 different fights happening right now. Top 6, they've got themselves separated. We have this second pack here, which basically encompasses the rest of the field. This is about a 9-car train. Ricardo Margarita currently leading the way. Carlos Carrera-Sainz was leading just a moment ago this second pack, but he just lost that lead position. That's P number 7 here on back right now. They're coming through down into these final couple corners, into corner number 14 here at Road American, onto this long front straightaway. And Alvin, this is one of the things that can be very stressful about racing at this racetrack. The fact that you're going to come onto this long front straightaway, you know there's about 1 million cars behind you, and you don't have any idea how many of them are going to be ahead of you due to the slipstream. You see right now the 10, Sainz, he looks to the inside. Dronke seems keen to make it 3 wide. What does Justin Smith do? He shoves it up the middle as well. So we got 4 cars 3 wide going into corner number 1. The 12 of Dronke is going to pick up 2 spots and get to the head here. Oh, almost close contact between the 10 and the 11. The 11 of Justin Smith definitely missed that braking zone for corner number 1. And they're going to be 3 wide again as they run down into corner number 3. The 16 in the middle. And now we have the 9 of Jeremiah Morton. He's on the inside, wisely backs out of it. This second pack, Alvin, hugely aggressive.
Not only is it hugely aggressive, but this kind of shows you if you make one mistake, which is pretty much what happened. They're going into turn 1. You're pretty much a sitting duck because this car is all about momentum. But also, we also saw the power of the drive there. Carl Dronke, I will say that is pretty much, usually you could say that is pretty much thanks to the drive, but that looked more like a power move.
All the while this happening, your leaders have been fighting hard as well. Amongst your top 6, they were just 2 by 2 coming out of that 5th corner as they're now working themselves back down the hurry downs in towards that tight 90-degree left-hander at the bottom of this hill. And this is turn number 8. This quickly takes you on to corner number 9. That long 90-degree right-hander at the carousel. Excuse me, 180-degree right-hander at the carousel. Getting my geometry all mixed up. But this lead pack, Alvin, I think after that side-by-side moment, see the top 2, they've been able to stretch a little bit of a gap over Precario, Seitz, Tron, and Halliburton.
Not only they have stretched a little bit, but, you know, this is pretty much you can contrast these 2 groups. The front group, they know what they have to do, you know. They know that this battle pretty much is going to come down to the last lap. The group right back, they just don't care when the race is over. They want to take that position, they want to break away from the group, and they are doing the best they can to be in front and try to break away.
100% very aggressive racing up and down this field. Johnny Gundy, your pole sitter, did not lead the last lap, but he currently has the lead as they come up to corner number 14 now. Hard on the brakes, and another awkward right-hander here on this racetrack. It definitely is a racetrack full of awkward corners. There's only a couple of corners that I think most people will consider easy, and as they come down this front straightaway, your race leader, Johnny Gundy, going to be under attack from Vinicus Roca. Gundy actually puts a couple wheels off on the grass by accident there, and Roca's going to lead this lap yet again. So Gundy, I don't think, has led a single lap here today as they work themselves down into corner number 1, and Andrew Picario has to have one job here, Alvin, one focus, and that's try to reel in that next gap. But they're still scrapping in that second pack behind. We actually have 3 or 4 different fights happening right now. We have Ricardo Margarito. He's picked up the spot. Oh, it's actually Jeremiah Morton. Big slide through corner number 1. Just almost doesn't collect anybody. Hard slide, though. He ends up spinning around, and we have that third pack has to cycle through. They have to thread the needle, and they all get through safe. Definitely not great driving from Morton there, losing the back end, but well done by everyone else. Great awareness not to run into the side of him.
Absolutely, and you have to say, points for Jeremiah Morton for trying to save the car. Unfortunately, he couldn't, but, he tried his best. Also, kudos to him too. He spun. He knew that he was in a vulnerable position. Cars were coming. He waited for the track to be clear and then to rejoin. So definitely great racing from him.
So a little bit of initial D coming from Jeremiah Morton, but unfortunately for him, results in him losing a couple of spots. Fight for the race lead, heating back up. Currently 5 cars all under a blanket right now. Roca from Gwindy, Precario, Seitz, and Tron, currently your top 5. Halliburton has lost the tail end of that lead group, and this second pack has really gotten itself spread out after that little mistake from Jeremiah Morton. Really, this second, we don't really have a second and third pack anymore here, Alvin. It's just that second pack's a lot more strung out. Have about 3 cars, and then a little bit of a gap, but he got 2 more, and then a slight gap, and then 2 more cars. So we still have what could potentially turn into a pretty potent group, but they're a lot more spread out than they were about really 1.5 laps ago.
Not only that, and Randy, not only is it spread out, but the more the secondary groups keep fighting, the more time they will lose to the front of the field, and there has to come a time that you have to work together. But, also, I say that, but we also have to say that the leading group has been pretty much working as a team since the drop out the green flag. So, it's a little bit one of those of too little too late if you want to work as a team, if you are in that secondary group to try to catch for the leading group.
I think that's what you have to do here at this racetrack, is you really have to work together to be able to stretch any packs. And you really think about it, Alvin, this lead pack, we've not really seen anything aggressive. We've seen whoever's generally been in second place, they'll make a move on the leader. But you think about where we've been seeing the aggressive moves, it's been in that second pack, and they've been where all the problem has been happening. You look right now, they come down the front straightaway, Gundy makes a move for the race lead, and he's going to get clear. And you see Andrew Precario, he lifts out of it about 300 yards shy of that braking zone into corner number 1, and then they're not even making any aggressive moves. Tron and Greg Seitz fighting for P number 4. This top 5 continually, we tend to see this every race. It's generally similar names that are up in that first group. They race very well with one another, and they run with a lot of respect with each other compared to that second group that tends to get into issues. They tend to get strung out, and they tend to be where the super aggressive move comes in that early stages of the race. Roca might make a move here down into corner number 5 as he looks up the inside line, but it seems he doesn't have the run, doesn't have the momentum. He's just going to get back in line. I haven't seen anyone in that second groove really get back in line. They tend to just keep the nose stuck in there.
Not only that, Randy, that move from Vinicus Roca going into Marine Sweep, I think it had to do more not that he wanted to get a run on Johnny Gundy, but we have to remember this. We have seen some overheating issues with these engines, and I think that's more Vinicus Roca trying to get a little bit more air into that engine, because the last thing you want, and we have seen this Randy out time and time again, you come into the last lap, you have a chance to win, and as you cross the start finish line to get the white flag, the engine goes.
Yeah, we saw that in Interlagos just a couple of weeks ago. Someone popped their motor coming to the white flag. Definitely not ideal whatsoever. Right now, looking back at some other fights out there on the racetrack, Their producer, I think, very smartly and wisely says they're waiting until the last lap, and I think you're absolutely right, because this lead group, Alvin, they've put on some of the most entertaining finishes that I've seen in a while, and that's sort of the thing, is that, you know, it's almost hard to commentate, because right now we're working lap 5 of 10. You and I both know that this lead pack is smart enough that really what's happening right now essentially doesn't matter unless someone does something stupid. What we're likely to see is this entire group stay nose to tail for the next 3 laps, and maybe laps number 9 and 10. That's where things are going to get insane. It really is an 8-lap calm before a 2-lap storm.
Not only that, but you know, as we go back into a start finish line, this is what we have to see. Vinicius Rocha, we know that he is going for the lead. Now the question is he able to get the lead before they cross the start finish line? The answer is yes, and that is very important for Vinicius Rocha, because he knows that if he is running P2 coming to the checker flag, he knows that he has a chance to take the win. He just has to be patient.
And I think we've seen that every single time. I think every single time coming out of the final corner, I don't think we've seen the car who is led lead the actual lap. So if you're leading coming off corner number 14, you tend to be the second place person at the line, which is not ideal. Now down this second straightaway, all your leaders come. This is the second half, beginning of the second half of the race right here. Lap number 6 of 10. So 5 have been done, 5 left to go. And you see right there, Johnny Gundy, he looks at the inside just a little bit, but I think you're right, Alvin, just getting a bit of clean air. And then at the end of the straightaway, he just pulls back in line, gets on the brakes, runs the traditional line. And you see everyone in this group doing the same thing. And it's not because these guys don't have speed, Alvin. With the slipstream in these little cars, there's more than enough opportunity for these guys to make a move. They're just opting not to. They're choosing not to make moves.
And I think pretty much that is the smartest move, because pretty much this is what we see every single race on a track like this, Randy. There's really no point in fighting. You really have to keep patient. You really have to keep up with the group if you can. If you can, well, you know, you are going to suffer, but definitely, if you can keep with the group, really no point in fighting. If you see somebody is going to take the position, don't fight it. Just let him have the position. It'll be a lot faster as a group to try to do it that way versus fighting side by side through each corner, because this group, this leading group, is really strong, and the slightest move that anyone starts to do racing wise, they are going to lose the group.
I think the perfect example of that, Alvin, is actually at the tail end of this group. You had Greg Seitz, Tuan Tron, even Andrew Picario. Just remember, just think back to just a few laps ago. These top 2 of Roca and Gundy had a slight gap over the rest of the field, but the fact that those 3 behind have been so patient, so calm, they haven't swapped any spots. No one's been like, I need to get the 4th place right now. They've been able to reel this gap back in, and now the likes of Tron and Seitz, they've gone from, if they had started making moves and fighting with one another, the best opportunity of a finish they would have had was 4th. The fact that they were patient for 2 laps means now they have a pretty good chance of coming away with a win with the way the slipstream works. And now this time, I think, interestingly, Alvin, I think Roca might just, and he does, he leads at the line, and that's the first time we've seen that. So you can lead when you come off the final corner, getting to the start finish. And I think for the first time, we're going to see someone make a move. Greg Seitz from 4th. He knows that he needs to make an extra lap or 2 to get himself through this traffic in front. Makes a move into corner number 1, gets it done cleanly, moves Andrew Picario back a spot into 4th. Tuan Tron stays in the 5th spot.
I think that's more of a strategic move there by Greg Seitz. He knows that he has to make that move if he wants to win the race. But Randy, we gotta go back to the last race we have here last season, where the person that was running in 4th place, you know, we just talk about 1st, 2nd place, and perhaps 3rd place, but the person that was running in 4th place was able, at the white flag, going into turn 1, come from 4th place all the way to 1st place, and he was able to defend that position all the way to the checker flag. With that said, Randy, I know that they are trying to test if they can lead the lap going to the line, but I can assure you, whoever is leading this race at the last corner going to the checker flag, that Skip Barber is going to be as wide as the tarmac here in Road America.
I think fortunately for them, there's really not a lot of room at this racetrack. Very fast racetrack, but a very narrow racetrack. Though these cars very narrow in and of themselves, so they come through the carousel for the 7th time, or is quickly getting to that point here in just about a lap's time, where it's going to be no more niceness, no more patience. It's going to be all about pushing, all about going for moves. And I think it's going to come, Alvin, probably coming at the start of this next lap with 3 to go. Lap number 8 is going to be the point where you really start taking opportunities you weren't enough taking of 3 or 4 laps ago. We saw Greg Seitz. He decided this lap was the time to start making moves, and he made a move into corner number 1. This time, he had a slight run on Vinicius Roca, but wasn't close enough to make anything of it. He backs out of it, so the top 5 will run as they in the same order they came into the corner, out of Canada corner, and now they're going to come through Thunder Valley, down through this final section of the racetrack, another difficult racetrack section of the racetrack, through Bill Mitchell Bend and up towards corner number 14 through here. And let's see, does Johnny Gundy lead this lap coming to the checkered flag? We're just trying to get our bearings, see whether or not someone can do that on the final lap. And here comes Roca. Under the Caterpillar Bridge they come, and as they come now, quickly pulling inside that 3. No, he doesn't get there. So the one machine of Gundy leads the lap this time as well. So Alvin, a little bit of a change of pace. I think as a little bit of fuel is burnt off, these guys have started getting better runs off that final corner. Greg Seitz looks up the inside of Gundy into 1. No space to do it though with 3 laps to go.
And that is pretty much the key right now. Now you have to know what is the best run that you can get out of that last turn, because that definitely will determine who will be the winner. Now, somebody in this leading group that we haven't talked that much to, he has been running in 5th place all race long. I don't think he has been running in 5th place because he doesn't have the pace to go for the lead. I think he is running in 5th place because he's trying to be as patient as possible. And I can assure you, Randy, next lap, as we see here, going for P number 3 and battle for the lead and battle for P3. So now is where we're starting to see the fights for position, and now I think Tuantron is going to pounce as well.
Andrew Picario made his move on Greg Seitz going into corner number 5, and I don't know if that was really an optimal move to make. I don't think he's going to make it stick, and unfortunately for him, they're going to be side by side as they come now down through the hurry downs. This is just giving all sorts of time to Vinicius Roca and Johnny Gundy, the lights of Seitz, Picario, and Tron, doing nothing but hemorrhaging time to the leaders. They finally get it settled. Andrew Picario settles himself into that 3rd spot, but Alvin, this has given those leaders 1st and 2nd. They have roughly a 1 second or so lead now as they work through the carousel. And if you're Greg Seitz, if you're Tuan Tron, heck, even if you're Andrew Picario, that's the last thing you wanted to see happen. One of those guys fighting for 3rd needed to lift out of that to have any hope of wanting to win this race, and neither of them did. They're going to have to put down some monster laps to try to catch those top 2.
Not only they have to put monster laps, but they, they have to work as a team. Fortunately, the good thing that they have going for them right now, when we cross the start-finish line, it'll be 2 laps to go, but as I'm starting to see the lap times in here, they were less than a second, and now they are 1.6 seconds behind. So I think, Randy, this is race over for them. So now the battle for the lead is Johnny Gundy and Vinicius Roca.
Corner they come. The 16 and the 10 are fighting hard as well. There's 3 different cars here. The 10 of Carlos Sainz, Carl Drunke in the 12, and Ricardo Margarita in the 16. The 16 machine has lost 2 spots since the start of this lap. So we have 2 different fights happening here. This is that real second group that we were talking about earlier on that we said had the potential to heat back up, and here it goes. 2 laps to go. We're going to have 3 cars fighting here. Fight for the lead is also heating up as well as Roca takes the lead, and they're almost 3 wide fighting for 3rd as Greg Seitz is going to defend on the inside going into corner number 1, but Roca takes the lead, and going into corner number 1, Carlos Sainz currently holds this 7th position, which is the lead spot of this group, and he's going to hold on to it now. These 3 single file for 7th, 8th, and 9th. Kane Halliburton really on his own little island though in 6th, not really close enough to make any sort of move on Tuan Tron, Picario, or Seitz.
This pretty much has been the race for Kane Halliburton, pretty much just running his own race, minding his own business. He hasn't been involved in any fights, but as I said, that Andrew Picario and Greg Seitz going into turn number 5. Andrew Picario looks like he's got that position, and Greg Seitz tries to go to the inside, but no, Andrew Picario gets a better run, gets P number 3.
So fights heating up here on the final lap and a half of this motor race. Johnny Gundy trying to stay close to the back of Vinicius Roca. You have Andrew Macario, who just gets himself up into the third spot as well. They come down the hurry down for the penultimate time. See Tron going to the driver's right, trying to get anywhere under the braking zone in corner number 8 to make a move on Greg Seitz, but the room isn't there. It's very difficult to make a move stick on the outside of that corner. And now do this this long right-hander, Alvin, the battle for the lead. Right now, Johnny Gundy has to just try to get the traction down and try to keep his foot as flat as possible for the king to maybe make a move in the Canada corner, because at this point, you want to start making passes at every opportunity you're given.
Not only you want to make the pass at every opportunity that you can, but we've also seen that you can win this race as long as if you get a good run out of the last turn. But so I think for Johnny Gundy, very important, just stay behind him here into Canada corner. No problem, no pressure. Now, coming here into this section of the track, Johnny Gundy really needs to stay behind here and going into Paul Mitchell Bend. Now is where he is going to get that run, take the lead, and perhaps defend it as much as he can and win this race.
1 lap left to go, 4 miles, and there's too many fights to try to keep track of. Watching the race lead as they come up to the start finishing line right now. The 3 of Roca has Johnny Gundy for company. Who leads the lap? Gonna be Gundy by 5 thousandths of a second, so that's important. The fact that the second car off the final corner leads the lap. They're 3 wide for third, with Tron finally making his move from 5th all the way up to 3rd into corner number 1. The 4 machine power move down into the first corner, but he doesn't get it to the apex. He might have a slow exit and someone might be able to open a door going into corner number 3. No, they're gonna be single file for now. Your leaders come off that 3rd corner, and now down this 2nd straightaway here at Road America. Long way all the way down into corner number 5. Vinicius Roca might be able to make a move as they come down into this downhill braking zone, but no, the 3 machine visibly, you can see that he's lifting off the throttle, but they're 3 wide again for 3rd place, this time with Greg Seitz coming up the middle. Tron on the inside, and Greg Seitz gets to the lead of this pack. Again, the 4 of Tron might just end up going from gaining 2 spots to losing 2 spots, and he goes from 5th to 3rd to 5th in the span of a handful of corners. Leaders now, they come through into corner number 7, this awkward right-hander that you think is so much faster than it actually is, and now down this downhill section into the downhill braking zone at corner number 8. That somewhat alternatively from corner number 6, you go from uphill to a flat, you go from downhill to a flat here, and then into the long 180-degree carousel. The fight for 3rd continues to carry on, but there's been a slight breakaway in favor of Greg Seitz. Off now, your leaders come off the carousel into the fast kink here. Right-hander, you want to try to keep it flat if you can, but you can't always do that. See the 3 machine, he runs out a little bit wider, going to carry a little bit more speed. Here comes Roca on the 1 of Greg Seitz. He has to make the move here, unless he has complete confidence in the run he can get off the final corner. It seems to me that Roca is confident in the run he can get off corner number 14. The fight for 3rd, though, is still somewhat spread out. That's going to be a run up to the checker flag as well, as your leaders come through Thunder Valley and into Bill Mitchell Bend, into corner number 13, and 1 corner to go. And then it's the uphill run to the checker flag here at Road America at Elkhart Lake. Through the final corner comes Johnny Gundy, and he runs wide. Vinicius Roca is going to have a momentum advantage for sure. He's going to have the slipstream for sure. Coming up the hill, the 3 machine has all the head of steam in the world. They're going to pull side by side, and at the line, it's going to be, I don't know, it's going to be Vinicius Roca by 4 thousandths of a second, and the fight for 3rd gets separated by 300ths of a second. Alvin, I think that's the closest finish I've ever called, as there's other close fights happening as well. You have the 9 fighting with Christian Kapanga off the final corner. The 9 machine of is Kapanga and Morton. Morton looks like he has this job done as they come across the stripe. Alvin, I actually think that's the closest finish I've ever called.
Wow. And this is something that we were mentioning, they were getting good runs, and Vinicius Roca, throughout the whole race, he was pretty much testing that move. And that move, as he tested pretty much throughout the whole race, that is the move that got him the win here today.
11 and the 14 were another close finish. It was the second. It's not often the gap between P8 and P9 can be 5 thousandths of a second and be the second closest finish throughout the grid. But Justin Smith and Nicholas Shelton, very tight finish for them as well. And the 11 of Justin Smith, he reigned supreme on that one. So that was an insane finish to the end. Like I said, there was a handful of battles happening there, simply too many to keep track of. But with that, let's go down your post-race results after 10 laps here at Road America. Quick swig of water, and Vinicus Roca from second on the grid comes away with the win by 4 thousandths of a second. Johnny Gundy finishes second, Andrew Picario third, Greg Seitz fourth, and Tuan Tron will round out your top 5. Tuan Tron, probably heartbroken, went from 5th to 3rd to 5th in the span of 5 corners here at Road America. Kane Halliburton will finish 6th, Ricardo Margarita in 7th, Justin Smith will finish 8th, Nicholas Shelton 9th, and Carl Dronke will round out your top 10. Carlos Sainz will finish 11th, Jeremiah Morton 12th, Christian Capenga in 13th, Paulo Martin 14th, Justin Tipton 15th, Mike McCormick 16th, and Edwin Ballerino will finish 17th, the only car to finish one lead lap down today. Alvin, what a race. Thankfully, we didn't see anyone pop a motor.
And not only that, we have to say that it was pretty much a clean race. Even those battles for position in the midfield. Yes, they were aggressive. They wanted to go at each other. But, they gave as much room as possible as they could. They respected each other. No contact, all good racing all over the field.
Yeah, that it was. There was some aggressive moves, maybe some questionable moves at times, but overall, very good driving up and down the field. But Alvin, for these little Formula 2000 cars, this was 3 weeks in a row of big Grand Prix circuits. You had Interlagos, Silverstone, and then here at Road America. Next week, these guys are coming back to the tight tracks, and they're going to get 3 weeks of the tight technical stuff with a lot less drafts. Alton Park kicks it off next week, followed by VIR North, and then Oran Park to round it out, and the final race of the championship will happen at Bathurst. But Alton Park next week, international without Britons. That's a tight little circuit.
And not only that, Randy, that track in itself, I think that track suits more this Skip Barbers more than the track that we were in here today, Road America. So what we're gonna see next week is gonna be more of a driver's track. I think skill is gonna be the name of who can be the best driver in there.
I think you're right. That's going to be a fantastic race. It's going to be interesting to watch. It'll be a stark contrast from this. This race was fun in the sense that you had so many cars under a tight little pack due to the draft. That race will be fun because you're really going to have to see the drivers. Whoever is really good, really quick, will definitely be at the front. Whereas here, the slipstream can really help you out. But that's going to do it for us here today on RaceSpot TV and iRacing Live. Thank you for tuning in, and we hope you enjoyed the show. If you didn't enjoy that, well, you have to find another hobby then. But from Randy Chineth, Hugo Louis, Alvin Yevas, everyone at RaceSpot TV, everyone at iRacing Live, hope to see you next time. Hope to see you tune in for another broadcast. We have a couple big shows coming up this week. World Championship Grand Prix Series kicks off again on Saturday. Then on Sunday, the 6 hours of Watkins Glen will be coming right at you. But until then, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.